These quiet mornings remind me that there's beauty in the simplest parts of life. The smell of fresh wood, the warmth of a meal that simmered all day, the satisfaction of working with our hands to prepare for the seasons ahead. Our preparations today aren't just for the coming winter. They're a tribute to generations who taught us the beauty of this simple seasonal life. I've been slow cooking a lot of roasts lately with carrots and onions and other nutritious veggies. It's a simple, hearty meal that always brings comfort. There's something about a roast that feels right for this time of year. It's nourishing, it's full of flavor, and that broth that forms from slow cooking, we save every last drop. It's rich in nutrients and has gut healing properties, perfect for sipping on those cold days that are just around the corner. Today, my dad and husband brought in a big load of firewood, all cut and split from trees that have reached the end of their life up on our family's homestead. We heat our home exclusively with wood from our own land using an outdoor wood furnace. And we have a backup wood stove here in the farmhouse, just in case we'd ever need it for warmth and for cooking. Knowing that the same trees my family cut, split, and stacked are what keep us warm, that's a comforting thought. And it feels like a part of a rhythm that goes back generations, where each family worked with what they had, letting the land provide for them. As I step into this garden, ready to prepare it for winter, I can't help but feel connected to those who've come before me, women like my great-grandma, who knew every inch of her garden soil. She didn't have seed catalogs or endless varieties from big stores. Her garden relied on heirloom seeds, saved season after season, seeds she knew would thrive in this Appalachian soil and keep her family nourished through the changing seasons. Great-grandma had 10 children to feed, and they needed the nourishment of food they had grown with their own hands. She grew her garden to be a staple, to last her family through every season and every year. Her go-to crops were practical and hardy ones, like potatoes, green beans, and cabbage. Each plant had a purpose, a role in her family's survival. Potatoes stored well in the root cellar, green beans were canned by the bushels. Cabbage could be made into kraut to last through the winter. This wasn't a trendy garden with fancy plant varieties. It was a hard-working one, just as she was. Between the warm weather and the end of harvest season, our garden has become so overrun with weeds. It really needed our care and preparation so it can winter well and be ready for the next planting season. Back then, cleaning out the garden was just another part of the season's rhythm, a practical way to care for the land and prepare it for the next growing cycle. These principles of sustainable gardening, knowing your soil, understanding your land, using every resource wisely, these were not new concepts. They were simply how she lived. For me, these lessons have been passed down through generations. There were times they were a necessity, and in others, they were more of a tradition, but they were always present, a passage in the story woven through our family's past. This kind of generational knowledge is a legacy in itself, one I feel blessed to hold on to and hopefully pass down to my own daughters. Every season spent learning this rhythm is another page in our story. Knowing how to work the land has been passed down as a kind of survival skill and a way to preserve independence. For those of us in the Appalachian Mountains, our growing zone and landscape guide us as much as any modern gardening book. And while I'm grateful for all those resources available today, there's still no replacement for knowing the soul of this soil. That's a gift my great-grandma has given me. Learning your land, understanding the specific needs of your soil, your growing zone, and your climate is invaluable. No two pieces of land are exactly alike, and getting to know your own patch of earth can be a lifelong journey. For those just beginning, there are wonderful resources to guide you. You can learn from reputable sources, books, local farmers, and fellow gardeners, but ultimately, your land will be your best teacher. Being able to rely on this knowledge, knowing that our garden can feed us if we know how to care for it, is a legacy worth leaving behind. It's a way of connecting to the generations before us and the generations to come. When we teach our children how to grow, we're not just giving them a skill, we're giving them a way to care for themselves, their families, and the land. And that knowledge, that connection to the earth, is something that no amount of modern technology can replace. Standing here clearing out this garden and preparing for winter, I'm reminded of the truth that my great-grandma knew so well. We are just stewards of this land for a little while. Each season is temporary, and so is our time here. This soil, these plants, and even the rhythm of the seasons, they were here long before us and will continue long after. What we do while we're here is a gift to the next generation. We are only here for a season, so it's up to us to care for this land in a way that respects its cycles, to give back as much as we take. The work we do in our gardens and fields is our way of joining in a story that began long before we were here, and we hope it will continue long after. Looking back, my great-grandma's garden was her act of resilience, her way of ensuring that her family was cared for through thick and thin. It's humbling to think about how this knowledge she passed down is still helping to feed us, bringing us together in the changing seasons. There's something heartwarming about watching this next generation playing with the animals, learning to love and care for this place. It's their own way. They're absorbing lessons in stewardship, learning to respect the land and the creatures we share it with. Watching them, it reminds me that everything we're doing, every season spent in the garden, every bale of hay stored up for winter, isn't just for us, it's for them, for the future they'll inherit. These moments, these simple joys, are part of what it means to belong to a place, to understand it and to grow with it as part of your life. I watch my dad load up the round bales, each one a product of months of care and hard work. To anyone else, it might look like he's simply doing a chore, just moving hay. But there's a depth in every movement that he makes out here. Over the years, he's learned how to feed and replenish our fields so that each season they give back what we need to sustain the cattle. It's a rhythm that connects us, a cycle where nothing is wasted, where the land and livestock give back to each other season after season. This isn't just farming, it's a heritage. And in these moments, I see not only my dad's hard work, but the work of those who came before, and the promise that someday it will be my daughters who continue this rhythm, this legacy, carrying it forward. In the end, homesteading is as much about preserving traditions as it is about raising food. We're preserving a way of life, a knowledge base that is invaluable. And while the world outside these mountains may change here, we're anchored in something older, something true. We know the seasons, the soil, and the animals we share it with. It's a quiet life, but a meaningful one, rooted in a deep respect for those who came before us and for those who will come after. Please consider subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed spending a little time homesteading with me today. Until next time, friend.